Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock, episode 60. I'm Sophie, and this is my guest,
Oh my gosh.
Marissa. And Marissa.
Yes.
She can introduce herself. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about being a lukewarm Christian, what that looks like in our lives, and how to avoid that, because we're not called to be lukewarm Christians. We're called to be fully devoted to Jesus. So thank you for being here. Thank you for finding time.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But how I start out each episode is to ask them their testimony. So will you share a little bit of your story?
Yeah. So basically, I grew up in the church, and I got saved at a really young age and baptized, and then growing up, I kind of just lost that, or not lost it, but lost the heart for Jesus, and just didn't really care to have that relationship with him deeply. I was very lukewarm. I still went to church and did all the church things, but I just didn't really have a heart posture towards him.
Mm-hmm.
And so then probably like 18 or 19, I got really involved with like drinking and partying a lot, and like smoking and all of that stuff. And probably for like a year and a half, honestly. It was a while. I was just really, I guess, engulfed in that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so then I was in a relationship. It was not a good relationship. And the party lifestyle and everything. Just all of that. And then I remember a time where God was like really trying to pull me out of that. And I was like, okay, I've got to go all in for God, because this is not so cutting it. Yeah.
And then did you find yourself like during that season of life, did you feel like it was satisfying you?
Like before or after?
Like when you were in your like when you feel like partying and that stuff, did it feel satisfying in the moment, and then when you got out, like, oh wait, that wasn't satisfying?
Yeah,
or were you
very
still
much.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wonder, because like even with like anything that we like devote sin to, even like the things that I was like fully devoted to in sin, then like in it kind of was like, this is kind of satisfying me.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop, because then it would stop satisfying me. But like once I got out of it and took a step away and was like back fully devoted to Jesus, I was like, oh wait, that really was not satisfying. And then the other part of your story that I really like is how you were a believer, and so we don't lose our salvation. So it's just cool to see how Jesus was just like, wait, come back, and how he doesn't go away. It's us that run, and then he's just sitting there waiting. And so it's like, oh, thanks, Jesus.
Yeah. Like leaving the 99 for me, you know? Like, and it's like, it's so special to think, okay, he would do that for me, you know?
Right, yeah. That's so cool. Okay, so for those who don't know what a lukewarm Christian is, what even is this?
So I feel like when you think of lukewarm temperature, you think of kind of like bath water, like very room temperature, not cold, not hot, you know.
Almost like a baby bath water.
Yeah. Like it has to be
warm enough for the baby, but like you can't burn the baby.
Yeah. And so it's like right in the middle of being not knowing God at all and being on fire for him.
Right.
It's like you're right there in the middle. It's like you know him, but you're not really living for him. You're not really like, your lifestyle doesn't say you love him and all of these things. So yeah. And very middle.
Right. And I think a part of the lukewarm Christian can look like, I'm going to church every Sunday, but you're never opening your Bible on your own time.
Right.
Or, you know, for your grandma, you're like, yay, Jesus. But then with the friends at school, you're like,
let's go party. Yeah.
And so it's just like almost fixating. That's not the right word. Almost going for the person that you're around.
Yeah.
Like, oh, for this person, I'm going to act like this. For this person, I'm going to act like this. That could be considered lukewarm, or just, you know, like have fun. I might go to church, but I'm not going to read my Bible, or I'll check the boxes kind of thing. Just not being fully devoted to what God has called us to do.
Yeah. When I was, when you sent me the questions, I really thought about this verse, Colossians 2:6-7.
Yeah.
And it says, as you therefore have received Christ Jesus the Lord, so walk in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding in it with thanksgiving. And one thing I thought about that was when you're lukewarm, you have no roots. And it's like,
right.
It goes back to what you just said about when you are with these people, you want to party and do all these things. And then when you're with your Jesus friends, it's like, okay, well,
Right.
now I actually want to go home and be with Jesus,
yes.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
But you have no roots to be established in him on your own.
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of just flowing with whatever you're around.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So like not rooted is a good little like analogy to
Yeah.
think about. It's like I'm not rooted, so I'm not standing firm in this or this. It's
Yeah.
just like whatever.
It's like a
works
middle
for that
ground.
moment.
Yeah, it's like you sway to whatever your environment is.
Right. Yeah.
So
when was the time you've shared a little bit in your testimony, but when is the time that you were lukewarm in your walk with Jesus? And then there's the question that I'll ask right after is then how did you come to the other side of it to be all into Jesus?
So really just kind of goes back to when I was in the party phase. Like I said, I was still in church. I would still go to all the church things and hang out with all the church people and all these things. But it was like, it just didn't really do much. And I'm trying to think of the question again. I feel like I'm getting off track.
When was the time you were lukewarm?
And
then how did
kind
of get pulled out?
So yeah, definitely just like being involved in both sides. It's like I wasn't really rooted, and I would hang out with people from my church and be like, oh my gosh, I want to love Jesus, and these people are motivating me to be closer to him. But then it was like I would go party and be like, oh my gosh, this is so fun, and I want to be here, like screw the church, like all these things. I don't want to be a part of that, or it would honestly just be at the back of my mind. And I would say I remember a time where like I was at a party and God just like took the desire away from me to drink anymore.
Yeah.
So I remember I was at a party and I had a drink in my hand and I was just like, why am I here? Like I literally don't want to be here. I don't want to be drinking. Don't want to do any of this. So what's the point? And then I kind of came to the other side because I honestly just cut off everyone, cut off like the guy I was dating, the friends I was hanging around. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be around you guys when you're partying. I don't want to come to the parties or anything. So that's when I kind of went to the other side, I guess you could say.
Did you have people in your life that were like pulling you from it? Like from the
like away from
scene?
it?
Yes.
I would say yes, but like I had friends that I would hang out with outside of church that were very much like church friends that would lead me in the right direction. But every time I would hang out with them, I would be like, okay, why do I even go to parties? Like, why do I do any of that? And I remember like they would pray for me and stuff, and I would just, it was like I wanted to change, but I just didn't do the action for it. And then
and a sin cycle is hard to get out of.
Like it's very hard.
Satan works in that way. But I think that's also a testament of like choosing your friends and like where are you looking for friends. Like I went through that a lot a couple years ago of like this isn't the right friends for me. They're pulling me from Jesus, so it's almost making me be more lukewarm to Jesus because it was like, what's the point of either way, you know? So who you're surrounded by is really important.
Absolutely.
And then Isaiah 29:13 says, the Lord says, these people come near me with their mouths and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is based off merely human rules they have been taught. And so it's like, even with that part not being rooted, not being fully in one way or the other to Jesus, it's just like, you might be honoring it with your mouth and like, yeah, Jesus, I love Jesus, because it's easy to say that. But is your heart there? Where's your heart in that? This weekend I was on a mission trip, and a lot of the people we went up to and talked to would say, we would ask them if they go to a church, and they'd be like, yeah, we go to church. And then you'd say, oh, where do you go to church? And they couldn't tell you. And it was because it's easy to be like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I go to church. Yeah. And it was just to like make us happy and move away. But then we would like keep pursuing, like, oh, you don't, okay, that's okay. But like, why don't you go to church? Or what would you look for in a church? And things like that to get gospel conversations started. But how they were trying to do it with their lips just to get the title Christian, or even make themselves feel good or make us feel good or whatever that, wherever that is. But like their hearts aren't in it.
I think it's also this like this side of America, I guess you could say. Like so many people are like, oh, we're Christians because we're taught to be, but like, what does that actually mean to you? Like, being a Christian isn't just going to church on Sunday, or even just saying you go to church in general. Like, there's a lot more to being a Christian and being rooted and growing deeper roots than just that.
So true. And the part of being in the Bible is like, oh, my grandma's saved, or my parents have gone to church forever, or I've grown up in this church, but it's like, oh wait, but like, have you given your life to Jesus? Do you live for Jesus?
Like, it doesn't matter about your parents' relationship with Jesus. Like, you have to go to heaven too. Not just about your parents.
That's
can't pull you up there.
They can't pull you up there. Like, what are some simple everyday things that you can be doing to be all into Jesus, or do it some days to not be lukewarm?
So when I first saw that question, I was thinking, like, what is one thing that I did when I was first starting to have a deeper relationship with God? And I couldn't pinpoint one thing that I did. So honestly, just pray for a deeper hunger for God, and that you'll have a hunger and a desire to be in the Word, be in prayer, and just honestly just worship Him. Just honestly, like, I notice when I wake up in the morning and I don't have my time with the Lord, I just have such a worse day. And it just honestly just sets your mood and your tone for the rest of the day. Like, okay, I have been filled. I mean, it is your daily bread. So it's like, you need it daily, you know? And when you are fed daily, then you're able to do the rest of life like better. But another thing I put was just have a heart posture towards God. And I definitely think once you are fed daily with the Word, that helps you to have a better heart posture towards the Lord. And then also just choosing your music, like when you're going to school or work or whatever it is, choose to listen to worship music rather than like pop or whatever, rock or country, whatever it is, you know.
So good.
Because that will really just help you to love Him and worship Him. And then also how you treat others, I think, is one big thing. Like how you love others kind of helps you. It doesn't help you love Jesus more. I think when you are fed, He helps you love others. But it's like, you know, when you give someone a compliment and it just makes you feel good. It's kind of like when you love others, it makes you feel good and like, okay, I'm pleasing to the Lord. And I'm doing what He wants me to do.
And we're able to do that better when we're loving Jesus well. Or when we're feeding into Him, reading His Word. We're going to be able to love others better. And then I love the music thing. I had to like cut out a lot of music because what I'm hearing, what I'm taking in is what's coming out. And so doing that is just like a simple thing that I had to start doing to not be lukewarm, not to be in the middle, not to be not rooted, to be rooted, looked like that. And then the other thing I really liked was just the praying for the desire, praying for it. Like, God tells us to talk to Him, so talk to Him, come in prayer, other things like that, and just say, Lord, like, help me want to know You more, help me dive into You, help me be satisfied with the things of You. Things like that have been really impactful in my walk as well. So I like that you said that.
The music thing I feel like is so important because I noticed even if I would listen to certain pop songs, they were just so sad and dreary that it would make me sad for the rest of the day. And it's like, okay, but if you're listening to worship music about Jesus Himself, then you're going to feel so much more fulfilled by what you're taking in and how you can, like you said, what you're putting out, you know?
Even like sometimes in the morning, that's what I'll do. Like, I don't want to get up. Okay, I turn on
worship.
Music. So it's just already going. And it's just like, I'm hearing it and I'm hearing it and I'm hearing it. It's coming in. And so that helps it come out, especially throughout the rest of the day.
Even like getting ready and taking a shower, I'm like, worship music is on. Like if I'm having a bad day, worship music. So
well, thank you for sharing your story and being so open about what it looked like to live a lukewarm life, but then what it looks like now on the other side. It's so sweet, and what you're able to do now for Jesus and with Jesus is just so sweet to see and hear. So I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.